So thanks to each of you for jumping on for this session. This is something that we like to partner with Dr. Kelleran on in a bunch of different ways. He did a really quick introduction to this effort during our health sciences research orientation this past summer, but it's always good to highlight more of the work that he's doing in the program. So many of you probably know he holds a faculty position in the Department of Emergency Medicine. And this is another one of the hats that he wears, like many of us across campus. But I can tell you from our interactions with him that he takes on this program as definitely a professional responsibility, but he treats it like a labor of love. He's constantly out there advocating and wanting to talk with people about it and put it in front of both faculty and students. It's also very cool because it's been woven into the new medical education curriculum for the classes that are moving forward. So Kyle, thank you for everything that you do on behalf of the students and the program to give them a chance to, engage in the research process in some way, shape, or form. And with that said, I will pass it off to you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And thank you, everybody, for coming. I know everyone hears from me somewhat often, but this is kind of like the first time where some people might hear more in depth about the research going on and the overall program. So again, I'm Kyle, faculty member in the Department of Emergency Medicine. Oops, if I can get to progress, there we go. And I am also the director of Health Sciences Scholarly Project. Along with me is Cameron, my fantastic, wonderful coordinator, who I cannot do any of this without. And together we kind of make up the office of the Health Sciences Scholarly Project and kind of get this whole thing up off the ground, get moving, and cater it through. As Jill had mentioned, we are part of the new curriculum. It's a requirement under the new curriculum. And many of you are probably familiar, but there's these pillars within the new curriculum, and the scientific literacy and inquiry pillar is one of those pillars. Under the scientific literacy and inquiry pillar are two main components: you have the scientific literacy and inquiry course, and then you have the health sciences scholarly project. And our main focus really is to elevate that base knowledge of research. We always have these students who are at the tippy top. They come in with multiple publications and been doing research. And this program, of course, they have to complete it still, but we're not going to help them as much as those individuals who are coming in with no research experience or limited research experience. We're trying to get everyone that base knowledge, elevate that floor, and bring them up so we have a common language and they can understand where the research is coming from, understand the process, and hopefully some of them turn into physician scientists. But that's, of course, not a requirement of ours. The course side of things are led by Jennifer Campbell, terrific professor in the Department of Medicine, and she has this course laid out. It's about 18 months long. They start basically as soon as they get here during M1, goes all the way through that fall, through that spring, and through the following fall. So she has them for a pretty long period of time, and they do a lot of different activities focused on case-based learning, critical appraisal, biostats. They do different projects like anatomy of a manuscript, developing research questions, and things along those lines. If you have any questions about the course side of things, the SLI course, I encourage you to reach out to her. I'm sure she'll be responsive to you. But the Health Sciences Scholarly Project, that's the side that I'm taking care of. That's the side that we really are pushing. And it's very cool. It's very interesting. So we're kind of looking to take what they learn in the course and apply it, right? It's kind of a capstone component. Now, the Health Sciences Scholarly Project is technically two courses, IDM 950 and 951. One they get a grade for at the end of M2, their second year, and one they get a grade for at the end of their fourth year. So it is actually two courses underneath this program that they are completing, and passing those courses are required. It's a graduation requirement for our students. But it's a really cool opportunity for them to delve into an area of interest. Oftentimes they lean towards or try to get projects in the departments where they hope to go for residencies. So somebody who might be interested in family medicine pursues over there, or surgery, or whatever department. Often they have an idea of where they want to go, although we know M1 students might not have their final answer yet. But it allows them to kind of explore different areas, make connections, and delve into a topic of interest that they may have. There are many components of the scholarly project. Obviously, there's this focus on the research. We want to have a great experience for them. And what we've done is kind of stripped out any of the kind of fluff stuff and really focused on having a good experience with quality deliverables. So they're going to find this research focus, and there's a few different ways people find their projects. I'll talk about that later. But they're going to find this project. They're going to develop mentors and find a singular mentor that will be their mentor for the project. That between them and their mentor, they're going to go through and kind of plan out the project, and they need to outline the project and, what's their role on the project, and continue that through. They're going to collect the data or analyze the data or write it up, and all the different components of research that we're all accustomed to, they'll be taking part in. They're going to, figure out their deliverables, figure out their presentations, figure out what they're going to, how they're going to disseminate the information, and kind of execute on that dissemination. And some of those components are required for us: a poster presentation, a report. We even make them do an elevator pitch. And some of them will be part of the research that's ongoing with their mentors. Now, on the student side, there's tons of benefits. Of course, they're learning about the research. They're getting involved in our departments. They're building resumes, building their CVs for residency application season. All of those really positive things on the student side. But also, we hope, really, really positive benefits for the mentors as well. Involving the students, having a set program that they are involved with is always a really good thing. I talked to many mentors, and I help run the EM, Emergency Medicine Research Program. And one of the cool things we're able to see now is that instead of getting these students in for a short period of time who may be kind of flaky on a project, we're getting them in, and because it's part of a set program and because they have course requirements for it, they're a little bit more committed. They're a little bit less flaky, and we are hoping that turns into more productivity for both the student and the mentor. And then, of course, overall elevating the research at the university and in the Jacobs School. But some of the direct benefits, hopefully we're working to kind of inspire and guide that next generation. I'm hoping that this turns into advancement of research for the mentors. Whether that's you take one student a year, and the one student trains the next one, trains the next one, trains the next one. Hopefully we can build a body of increased productivity for you directly as mentors or prospective mentors, but also for our departments, our division, for the school. We're talking about trying to gain some recognition. One of the things that we aren't always great at is celebrating research. I know once I get a manuscript accepted, I go pop it right on that CV, maybe throw it up on LinkedIn, and then we move on to the next project, right? We keep going. So through this program, I'm trying to increase the recognition, and there are some tangible things we're trying to do behind the scenes, working on to try to recognize those mentors a little bit more. But also we're trying to build like the research forum into a greater celebration of research. And hopefully it becomes a rewarding experience for everybody. As I said before, one of the really cool things about this project is it kind of streamlines and standardizes the process for students. So that engagement hopefully is a little bit better on the student side, and hopefully it's a little bit smoother, a little bit easier for our mentors. And then, of course, there's flexible involvement from the mentor side. Maybe you want a student 1 year, not the next, and then you want one again the following year. Maybe you want a few students all at once because you have a big project. We do allow 1 to 4 students on a project at a time. So if you have something really, really big, you can kind of get a little lab group together, a little group of students together to help take off pieces and maybe take off the load for you a little bit. But it's very flexible. We try to work with the mentors and work with students to accommodate the flexibility. We know some research is dead set and going to happen. Some of it's prospective. Hopefully it's going to happen. We had a project recently that fell through. So we grabbed those students and try to find other projects for them. We know that research is malleable. It's a process. It's ongoing. It changes. And we're here to help support that. So don't be shy, don't be nervous. If you're thinking about being a mentor, Cameron and I are here to help with those pieces. So we have a few key requirements. The biggest overarching requirements of any project are that it needs to be related to medicine or health sciences. We need to have an agreeing and qualified mentor. So we tell students, your mentor needs to agree to be your mentor. But also we're looking for people who are qualified to lead them through the research process. whether that's a PhD, an MD, a DO, some of our master's level people, whatever it may be, as long as they are qualified and knowledgeable in research and the topic that they're working on, it should work just fine. And then one of the bigger things is that we're looking for projects that are hypothesis or research question driven. So there's a huge body of research out there that students can participate in, but we're trying to avoid the case studies, the brief reports, smaller things like that that may not be a hypothesis or research question driven. And then, types of projects, we're always looking for different types of projects, but new projects or ongoing projects that the mentors are leading the charge on. We also have a few projects that are student-led projects, but I will say the vast majority of our projects are ones that students are jumping on ongoing mentor projects. And they could be at any phase. If you have a project that you're already collecting data, that's okay. If you're at a project where you're just getting the pilot stuff up and running, cool. If you're in the developmental phase, that's fine too. It doesn't really matter where they're at in the project process, as long as they kind of have a good experience and good understanding of what's going on for those projects. So like I said, it can be big, small, pilot studies, clinical trials, QA, QI, all sorts of projects can qualify and can count. And you're always welcome to reach out to me if you have any questions about if something works or not. Another thing I always like to point out is that they can be part of a bigger ongoing project. So if you have a huge data set that's been collected for 10 years, and it's ongoing collection, you can pull a student on, have them help with the collection of data, maybe cleave off a piece, cleave off a component. They could look at sex changes or ethnicity or race or all sorts of different things they could look at as their piece of your bigger project, and then maybe pass that project on to another student in as the years progress. Overall, like I said, we kind of stripped out the fluff and kind of made this as streamlined as we could with actionable deliverables. And everything kind of either builds on itself or it's going into the resume building process. So we have a research agreement as the first thing they fill out, where you talk with your students and kind of come to an agreement about what the project is and how it's going to be done, and then you kind of both sign off on it. That's the first kind of phase of the agreement and the project. And then we have a research outline, which is a very simple outline for the students to complete. Then they go into, there's an HSSP block. So in the new curriculum, the students are taking the STEP exam January and February of M2. At the end of February of M2, once their STEP exam is done, they transition into a 1 month period where they have no courses, no classes, no clinicals, nothing going on other than research. It's a whole block just for HSSP. So it's one of the better opportunities for students to get involved with research and work on the research projects. At the end of that block, we have a rough draft of their kind of final report due, and any of these assignments. I encourage all of the students to turn in their assignments early. All of them have an endpoint, but the earlier they turn them in, the sooner we can get things on their resume, the better they can be prepared for the residency application season. I do encourage them to try to get these things done by their M3 year for that purpose. But as they progress through, they can work on these projects all the way through from M1 all the way through their 4th year. And during their 4th year, we have a few deliverables. Again, they can turn those in early, but they are required by their 4th year to complete some of these other ones. The elevator pitch, I sat in my old office around our residency team, and I would hear them get off their residency interviews and say, this student had fantastic research, it was really interesting, or this student couldn't tell me anything about their research. I don't know if they actually participated at all. My students are not going to be at that point. They're going to be able to articulate and communicate about what they're doing. So we have them do a required elevator pitch, and they have to submit it right at September 1st of their M4 year, right before they roll into residency interview season. It's ironic how that lines up, of course. They have an abstract, research abstract due for us, which then gets submitted to Jacobs School, which then allows them to present their poster at the Jacobs School. So a presentation of a poster at the Jacobs School Research Forum is a requirement for this course. Again, something that goes right on the resume. And then there's a final report, and that final report could be a manuscript. It could be just a report on their project, get some words on paper, and we have a template for that they follow. There's a small reflection piece that goes with that as well. And then periodically there'll be evaluations done. We'll have mentors fill evaluations of the students evaluate the program, the mentor, and we'll kind of see how things are going through those evaluations. Now, the domains for research are vast. We encourage all sorts of research through this program. Basic science, clinical, QA, QI, public health. We have partners over in the business school. We have partners in the School of Health Professions, and across the campus. And we're always adding on, and even off-campus partners for these projects. So these are the projects that or these are the types of domains we're looking at, but of course we can add on if you have some other ideas, some other domain of research that you want to pursue with the student. We're always welcome to reach out to me and we'll check those out. Types of research, as I mentioned before, pretty much anything as long as it's hypothesis, research question driven, including systematic reviews, meta-analyses, clinical trials, RCTs, all sorts of projects can qualify. Again, as long as you're that hypothesis driven or research question driven component, should be fine. Again, we're not accepting the case reports, opinion papers, letters, smaller things like that. But I do put an asterisk on it because if there's some crazy case report, crazy awesome something going on that student really wants to use, they're always welcome to come talk to me about that. I can override, approve, etc. So again, if there's something really, really, really unique that's not the run of the mill, reach out to me and we can always make that determination later. The question of the spring was, where did everybody go? We got 182, I think, students in placements last year, which was fantastic, wonderful outcome. And this is where everybody went. So in the first column, you're going to see projects offered. That was by department across the top. We had 21 Jacobs School departments involved, which is amazing, awesome. Thank you, everybody. And then we also had 5 other UP schools with projects represented. We also partnered with Roswell Park Cancer Institute, which is a terrific partner of ours. They do terrific work over there and super exciting. They got an R25 training grant that involves some HSSP components over there. So, really, really great work over there and great partners over there. And then there are a couple of students who went to off-site locations and are working with their mentor off-site, including Dartmouth College, Cornell, and we have many, many opportunities off-campus for students that could go do projects for the summer or across their time remotely. So the big question of the moment right now is, when does this whole match thing start? So last year, if you were involved, we kind of gathered all these projects up into a big database and then released it at the beginning of January. We had 2 cycles of matching, one through January to the beginning of February, and then one through February that ended at the beginning of March to try to get all these students on different projects. And it was a really great opportunity. The students were able to look through all these different projects and talk to mentors, and some mentors had interviews and other ones just reviewed resumes and CVs and cover letters, but it worked out and it was really, really great. This year, we're going to change things very slightly. We're going to try to open up the database for them to view the projects a little bit earlier. We're going to have a mentor meet and greet a little bit earlier this year. We did it last year in January, or tried to do it in December this year. Still working on the details of that. We're going to try to open applications in January and then close them in February, very end of February, trying to look at that March 1st decision point to the deadlines. Last year, we had an April 1st deadline for the research agreements. We kind of bumped it to May. Very likely we'll bump it to May again this year, but that's kind of the tentative point right now. One thing we are looking for from all of you is that if you are in charge of a summer research program or one of the larger programs on campus, we're going to try to ask that if you are able, try to make those decisions by February 16th if you can. One of the things we found last year was that students would try to match on their project and then find out they got a different opportunity that might have been funded or something they're really focused on. And some of those came late last year, in April or May, and we had to juggle to try to figure out if they could do 2 projects or how to make it work. So if you're able, that'd be great. I'm going to reach out to everyone. I've been slowly reaching out to everyone that's in charge of those programs to try to see if that's feasible. So you may hear from me. Another really, really, really cool development that we found or we've been working on for the past year is a database matching website. So Mark and Glenn and OMC have done a fantastic job of creating a website for us. We're going to have this research website. This little screenshot you can see here, the collaborative research and matching system is what it looks like when you first enter it. It kind of works like REDCap or the other programs. It's UBIT controlled. So when you sign in with UDIT, it will create a profile for you that you can then populate. And then it kind of looks like a mix between cars.com and a matching website or something like that, or a dating profile site. So we kind of have all these projects in here. These are all pretend ones. These have been cleaned out now. And I think I have one example one in there in my name now. But you have projects that will be put in by the mentors. They can put in information about it, their details. The department will show up here now. And then students can go in here and look at projects. As a mentor, you can also go in and take a look at the projects as well. And then you can also sort them by some of these things over here. So if you select, open, duration, whatever time you want, types of research, and hit apply filter, it'll kind of filter those up for you, and it'll show you the ones that are in those classifications. And then if you want to clear those, you can reset it. Also, we have these little hearts up here, so you can select the ones you like, and it'll bring it to the top as your favorites. So some really cool features. Not all the bugs are worked out yet, but I'm going to be sending this out to everyone, all the mentors here shortly. We can slowly start to populate this over the next couple of months. Within the system here, you can build your own profile, but also you can create your project profile. So as a PI, as a lead, as a mentor, you go in, create your profile, and then add in your projects. And it'll look something like this, screenshot on the right there. And you can kind of put in what roles you're looking for. So we're going to have an HSSP role for the students, but we've built this to possibly expand it to other applications in the future. So you can potentially look for a biostatistician or a someone specializes in substance use. So you could actually use it to look for other researchers potentially as well in the future. Build your research team out. So that's one really cool thing, really exciting to look at, and exciting to come down the pipes. Again, I'm going to get this out to everybody starting today, and we can start to fill it in, and hopefully it works well for us. We're going to try this matching system. And what's going to happen in this first cycle is that we're going to allow it to be viewed off the bat, and then we're going to open it up, and there's actually a way for students to apply to projects within the system. And then the mentors can review their applications. The CV of the student comes with their application when they submit it to you. And then you can kind of figure out which students you want. You can interview them if you like, and review their applications and choose which students you like, and then match that way. We do a few special situations that can kind of double dip or overlap. So we have the MD PhD program. For all those students, their dissertation will count for their research project. They do still have to complete our HSSP requirements. They are exempt from them until they return from their PhD. As when they return from their PhD, they kind of are coming in at the end of an M2 year, more or less, and they're starting phase 2, which is a clinical track. HSSP is the first chunk of that, and we will get all of them up to speed, but again, they can use a dissertation. They don't have to do a new project for us. And I'm working with the MPH program and the MBA program for similar projects to see if we can kind of have a singular project that covers multiple requirements for them. Also, other research programs, internal, external summer programs, emergency medicine, ortho, Roswell Park, a lot of places have summer programs on campus here. Many of those projects are doing 4-year summer programs can count for HSSP. Also, some of those community engagement fellowship projects, the T35 grants, the Dean's fellowships, all those other opportunities can count. Also, if we get students who take a gap year, those can work as well. And we can work with students to figure out what works, what doesn't work, and make those judgment calls. We love it when they use their summer to get ahead on their research. All right, this is the overall timeline of the curriculum. One thing to note, if you're looking at the curriculum, they did move this health sciences scholarly project block from the last thing in phase 1 to the first thing in phase 2, but that's where they're going to have that 1 month period just dedicated to HSSP work. if they still need to work on their projects. Some people may be done earlier. And that's when they'll have their rough draft due at the end of that period. Also, in year 4, at the very end, it's about March of year 4, there is a kind of group of things that are going on at the end of that period, right after match happens. And that will be a block that's not dedicated to HSP, but they will be completing some things during that time. They may do their project during that time, do their presentation during that time for the poster presentation as well. A few things, just so you're aware. As AI is becoming more prevalent, we have an AI policy for the Jacobs School. We have an addendum to that for HSSP. Some of the key things we put in here are on the screen here now. But again, we're kind of encouraging them to use it as support, but not as a substitute for scholarship work. We do not want them, of course, putting patient PHI data inside of AI platforms right now. And we'll see how this changes as guidelines come down and more guidance occurs. And again, we've also let them know that some of the projects they're working on may have novel ideas, patents pending, other sensitive information that should not be shared on AI or other platforms unless the mentor is in agreement. We've also asked all the students, if they use AI, to make sure their mentor is aware, disclose it to their mentor so that they can have proper recognition and make sure they're doing what's supposed to be done and not violating any of those other issues. Again, of course, the official stance from UB is that they must use Microsoft Copilot and must be logged in with their UBIT. Another cool thing about this program, as they are now onboarding in new curriculum, all the students are required to complete their city training. So for those of us that have ran summer programs in the past or had students in the past, we've often been responsible for getting the students onboarded into the city training, which always takes a little bit of time, and it's a requirement for the students to get that done to get onto the IRB for many of our clinical projects and other human-facing projects. But this is actually a requirement for them now. So they should be coming to you with these 3 things already completed, which should hopefully streamline and speed up that process. For hospital credentialing, they're not getting that done in advance unless they are placed for clinical rotations in those hospitals. But we still have that streamlined, the faster process for students through OME. And there are links to instructions on how to do hospital credentialing for students on our HSSP website through the Jacobs School. You can always check that out. So we had a few positives, negatives, strengths, weaknesses, all this that goes into creating a new program. I just want to kind of cover a few of them and tell you how we're addressing some of these things as we go. One of the really cool things is we're seeing this early and longitudinal research exposure where they're getting involved in their M1 year. They're starting to work on these things. They get to work on an M2, M3, maybe even M4 if they're still working on these projects. And again, they can finish their HSSP project early, but some of them may continue in your labs, in your clinics, collecting more data for another project or jump to another project under a different mentor. So we're kind of seeing these students who are very focused on building their resumes now, particularly with the way STEP is done and getting ready for residencies and trying to stand out for residencies. But they get to get involved early and have this longitudinal exposure. The mentorship is always a key piece. Our students are always clamoring for more guidance and more direction and connections and people to write letters of recommendation. So it's really cool to see this. And I'm hoping it's going to come to a little bit of a de-siloing. We can start crossing our fields a little bit better if possible. We have this kind of structured but flexible framework for our students to work through. And it also gives the mentors this structure to help them work through the process so everyone's not creating the wheel every single time. We're gonna have some professional skills development. I'm gonna talk about that later, but we're starting to partner with other offices on campus and in Jacobs School to help you become better mentors, help you with your research, and help you guide these students. We're always working on improving this process. Every time I talk to someone, every time I sit down with different faculty members and mentors, I love to hear their ideas and love to hear how they would change things or see an issue. So if you have anything you may have as a suggestion for us to improve, please reach out. I'm always happy to meet with people, meet with you, discuss the ideas. And many of the ideas I've pulled this thing together to make work have come from different faculty members who have suggestions and ideas on how to improve this work. And then one of the really cool things we've seen is kind of an equity for students for research opportunities. There's a vast difference for many of our students. If you're a UB local, maybe have parents in the healthcare field, the connections they may have are vastly different from a student who's coming from, downstate or another state or out of the country. So one of the really cool things that we're seeing is that students are becoming more aware of all the opportunities and all the mentors, all the departments, because they're able to look through these databases of projects. They're able to apply to these projects instead of just trying to find someone by saying, hey, do you know someone? Hey, do you have an idea? Hey, do you have any projects going on? And going one by one through all the different schools and different departments they're interested in working with. So it's very cool for us to see these students have a little bit of a sigh of relief because they can have these connections and help foster and have assistance fostering these connections and relationships with their mentors, the students, departments, divisions, etc. Of course, it always comes with challenges. Cameron and I are constantly putting out fires and guiding things and changing things and improving things. But there's always going to be some year one challenges anytime you have to step off and start something new. Whenever I was teaching, I would always say it took me 3 times of teaching a course before I knew what I wanted to do for that course. So we fully expect to be continuing to change and improve this program. But of course, there's some challenges. One of them we saw was once that HSSP match kind of took off and the students matched with the mentor and we got that research agreement together, sometimes the projects were stalled a little bit because the students or the mentors or both were less responsive. And that's sort of expected. There's a lull once that match occurs, but we're trying to do things to encourage that engagement and maintain the responsiveness and the communication between the students and the mentors. With any research, and we know we have such a vast variety of styles of research going on. Some are just starting, some are finishing, some are fast and furious, some are kind of a long, slower drag, and all of them are you're doing different things. So we know there's a lot of variability in the style of the projects. But we want to make sure that students are continuing, and we want to make sure the students are helping you to continue your research. We don't want the students to kind of just ride your coattails through this. We want them to be engaged in doing the work. So if you have any problems with that, we're working with the students to make sure they stay engaged. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please let us know. And then the matching process. Last year it was a very manual matching process. We're working on that database. We're working to make it a little more organic, make it a little bit easier for everyone to see and work through. There's going to be challenges along the way. Bear with us. We're going to make it as good as we can. But utilizing this new database this year hopefully is an improvement. But we know there will be challenges, and we will work through those challenges as we progress. A few tips for our mentors, success-wise. If you're bringing out a project, just try to clearly define it, make sure it's feasible. Small projects are okay. Pilot projects are okay, QA, QI projects are okay. I think it's a fantastic way to engage our clinical faculty through smaller QA, QI projects. All of those are totally fine. We encourage you to schedule monthly check-ins, weekly check-ins, whatever you need for students to make sure things are going and progressing. We do have all of the students are aware of their deadlines now. So their first assignments aren't due until their M2 year. So if you're a mentor that has a student from last year, their first assignment is due this November 1st, then December 1st, and then we have one in the spring. But all the students are well aware of their deadlines months to years in advance. So I tell them there's very little flexibility there. They better get their work done. Let's keep moving forward. Let's get that stuff rolling. I'm a little bit strict on that side. But if a project has an issue, of course, we'll be flexible and we'll try to make things work. We have the HSSP documents. All the mentors already have access. There's a box folder on our HSSP website. It's just UBIT access. So as long as you're a UB box owner, you can go and look at it. But it has all of the projects, all of the rubrics, all of the timelines, everything that's needed is inside of that folder. And we encourage the mentors to use it, but of course the students are required to use it. Again, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, Kelleran and I are always here. We're always meeting with people. I'm all over campus at all times. So please reach out. I'd love to come to your office, come to your lab, come to your clinic and speak with you, speak with your division, speak with your lab group, speak with your department. Whoever is willing to listen, I'm happy to talk to. some of the expectations you may have and some of the support you may need. There's UB Learns. We have all of the submission and tracking of their assignments in UB Learns. All the mentors have access to all those rubrics and assignments and timelines, everything on Box. We are always here, like I said. We are sending reminders, managing forums, troubleshooting. If you're a current mentor, you probably got a bunch of calendar invites for when their assignments are due for the current M2 class. That might help you just to know it's on your calendar. I know I live and breathe by my calendar. And then, we're going to have some mentor reviews, giving feedback, trying to encourage students to stay on track. And most of the assignments are graded kind of unsatisfactory, satisfactory, and exceptional. So pretty easy grading matrices. All right. Again, one of the really, really fantastic things that we're working on is to kind of engage other offices to help our HSSP mentors. So one of our first ones we're going to offer is going to be a series of faculty mentoring workshops being offered by Dr. Anyango Kamina in the Office of Faculty Affairs. And we've sat down, we've come up with, I think, 3 mentorship workshops, each of them kind of having a different focus. These are not required, but we're asking, encouraging everyone to show up and get involved. This first one is going to be on November 12th or November 20th. We're offering it 2 different times. So if you're interested, you're going to have an email come from me in the near future. Please sign up. You're welcome to sign up. I'll try to put the link in the chat in a couple moments. And this should be a really, really cool thing. We're also working with some other offices to provide support for you and get more stuff to help you be great mentors, develop your research, and work with students. The last slide I have here, a few things that we're working on. I've already mentioned the database, talked about that enough. We're expanding collaboration, so I'm always reaching out to new organizations on campus, off campus, and beyond. The students got a long list of research opportunities from across the country for year-out fellowships or summer fellowships, summer grants. So they may reach out to those entities and try to get some of those. We have a few of them in the current class that are doing those. I'm trying to really work hard to recognize our mentors. So you're going to see a few things coming down the pipe there. I think this is a really great opportunity for our mentors to get involved, new faculty, experienced faculty, senior faculty, everyone to get involved. And I'm going to try to recognize that as much as I can. You may have seen a recent news article come out from the Office of Medical Communication, I guess it is. And there's really, really, really great highlights of 2 of our students and their mentors and departments. And I'm going to try to keep working on that to recognize our mentors. We're working on celebrating a little more. Again, we're going to build out that research forum and try to celebrate our scholarly success and have a celebratory nature to our research here. And continue to work on that faculty development, because I want you guys to be as successful as I want students to be successful. This is a great opportunity for all of us, I think, and working together, we can build this whole thing out. So more information, we have our website, we have a QR code there, we plaster on different things. Our emails, you can email us individually, either Cameron or myself, but we also have an hssp@buffalo.edu website or email, that goes to both of us. So we both will receive those emails. You're welcome to, again, reach out to us individually or use that through email if you'd like. And with that, I want to thank everybody for coming. I appreciate everything you're doing. If you're an existing mentor, thank you so much. If you're a prospective mentor, reach out to us, communicate with us. We'll figure out how your projects will fit in here. And we're going to get this database launched, running in the near future.
Thank you, Dr. Kelleran. As you can all tell, when I said labor of love, I was serious. Kyle, you and Cameron have thrown yourselves into this, and it's such a exciting thing to see you basically build. Super, super cool. There are some questions in the chat. I'll just feed them to you if that's okay.
Sure.
So Kelsey in pediatrics is asking, can departmental administrators view all of the projects within the department or just the mentors the individual mentors?
Yeah, so if you have a UBIT, you will be able to log into the website and you'll be able to see all the projects. We will have a kind of checkbox that you can select to look at just that department. But one thing I will mention about the department checkbox is that we have many faculty who are like, have multiple affiliations. So it may not be perfect at all times, but anybody with the UVic will be able to log into here and see the projects, and then sort them and check them out. Also, we keep track of all the departments. Again, it's usually the primary department of the PI, and we record those numbers, and we can also get that to each department if need be.
Thank you.
Thank you. Kelsey, I saw you turned your camera on. Did you want to ask your follow-up question? Or that's already, actually, Cameron already did that.
Yeah, that's all set. It was more of just whether or not I actually needed a profile to view as a departmental administrator, but I can create one if needed.
So my neighbor, oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, we're also creating different roles on each project. So if you are a PI but have a lab manager or something like that administrator, you can put that person on as being able to receive the information that gets sent in or make changes to it and things like that within each project.
So my favorite neighbor in the med school, Maria Wilson, is asking, are all of the projects going to be matched, or will there be some projects with no matches where you don't have a student to place?
So that'll depend on how many projects we get. Last year, we had a terrific turnout, and again, thank you to everybody, but we ended up with, I think, over 240 opportunities for students across 158 projects or something like that. So we did end up with a surplus last year. We will see how that turns out this year, but hopefully with the same amount of turnout, and then some projects may not fill. We encourage our mentors, if their project does not fill, if they want us to hold that and open it for the next year, great. We do have projects, it's research, so sometimes projects, their plan don't go through, funding gets canceled, which we all know. And so if that occurs, then we will hold some of those projects as well for students to get engaged with if their project falls through.
Maria, did you have a follow-up?
Yeah, I do. It's because, as you probably know, we do the Community Engagement Fellowship that also uses, calls for research projects that are related or more directly impacting the community here. So the trend that I have seen is like we are not targeting apparently the right mentors or the right people with projects, because I saw the list that you presented and there were so many. When we ask for projects, nobody answers. So I wonder where the disconnection is, and maybe if we can do something different for next year's run, so we actually get a hold of those projects, so we can advertise them that these are really available projects that students can run with for our particular fellowship, and see if we can get a better turnout.
So, one of the things is, it might just be a little bit of my tenacity. But Anyango and I, we meet regularly, we talk regularly. So we've actually started talking about how we can merge these things together. And I don't want to tell anybody the things we're planning yet, because I don't know if she's ready for that yet.
Of course.
But we are looking to align that program with this program more tightly. Because I think it is one of the great opportunities on campus. I attended the student presentations last year, and there was some terrific work being done. But we are working to align these two projects. I think it is a very complementary project programs for both of them. But I will wait until she's ready to announce some of those changes if that occurs.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Dr. Ansman-Frasca. Steph, do you want to pitch your question, or do you want me to read it off? It's up to you. I see that you're still online.
Sure, I can. I'm eating lunch, so I'm chewing, but one sec.
No worries.
I wanted to ask about like the typical time commitment. So like I used to participate in when the MS1s would do the summer internship, and they just came in the summer full time. And so it sounds like the time they'd have the most time is during that 1 month research block, but what's like the typical or expected weekly commitment at the other times? Is it just like a couple hours, or what's typical?
Yeah, it's gonna vary a little bit depending on which phase they're in. And what I am encouraging everyone is they have a 7-week window called their summer experiential learning now at the end of M1 to the beginning of M2. I really encourage them to hit the ground running during that time period, whether they're part of an official summer program or not, because that's a time when they have no other course requirements going on. And some of them hit it so hard, they're almost done with their projects. Some of them, are waited longer and just getting started now, and that's okay. It's going to undulate during their year and their years, depending which phase they're in. So during the more academic side of things, more academic periods, it's a little bit harder. Their hours availability, depending on how much they need to study and what level of student they are, of course, will be probably limited to 2, 3, 4, 5 hours a week, maybe. But once they get into clinical rotations, you're gonna see those undulations occur a little bit higher because there's these onboarding, offboarding weeks where they're doing less work. But then they might be in a clinical rotation for a few weeks where it's very busy. So I encourage the students to be clear with the mentors about when those will be. But for sure, the best 2 periods to get work done is that summer between M1 and M2 and the 1 month block where it's just dedicated to HSSP after their step exam. But beyond that, it's probably gonna be limited to a few hours per week, unless you have a really great student or they're in kind of a down cycle for clinical rotations.
Okay, thank you. It's helpful. I'm just trying to think about, as I think about which projects we have going on, it's helpful to know how much time someone would be able to put in and when to find the right projects.
Yeah. Totally understandable. So it's the #1 question we get probably. And it's so hard to answer because there's so many different styles of research going on and then needs from the mentors.
Got it. Thanks.
So Dr. Kelleran, I do have a question as well. Because it's a research experience and I realize that everything that you've presented are opportunities that are situated on campus. Are there opportunities for industry to engage in some way, shape, or form if it can be validated that the project is research oriented for a regional partner of some sort?
Absolutely. We are strongly encouraging it, and some of our students want that. Some of our students are very motivated on the business side or the legal side or the biotech side. And anybody that has a project like that, I work from the Jacobs School, I'm working my way out. And as I'm working my way out, I'm making more and more partners. And if anybody has any connections to those groups, please reach out, let us know. But I know I've talked to a couple of biotech individuals so far, and we're working to establish some of those partnerships. And I would love to establish more of those, but absolutely, as long as we can justify it as research in some way, shape, or form, it should be fine.
That's great to know. And Kyle, let's talk offline about me connecting you with the VPR's office.
Sounds great.
As long as you have some materials, they could be very easily weaving this into the conversations that they're having with industry partners in our community. So
Sounds fantastic.
okay. Anybody else? Kyle, Cameron, thanks for all that you're both doing, the level of enthusiasm, the support that you're giving students, the opportunity that you're giving students. It's tremendous. It's just, it's great stuff to see, especially if a student, it gives them a flavor for the research space without having to jump in both feet. So it's, I think it rounds out their experiences, and it's nice to see so many students going after it. So thanks to you and your office for all that you're doing. Thanks for the great presentation. Kyle, I can't believe you give this presentation and orientation in like 10 minutes. It's kind of crazy. There's so much.
I have many versions.
Yeah, I can imagine, but it's nice that you try and communicate as much as you can. So thanks to each of you. This talk, for anybody who missed parts of it or wants to share it with a colleague, probably within 3 or 4 days, it will be on our VP for Health Sciences YouTube channel. That's my little plug for taking a look at our YouTube channel. I always feel younger when I say that. It had nothing to do with me, but it was an awesome idea on our students' part. But the talk will be out there, and Kyle, you can always direct faculty to it if they have questions. So anybody out there, please subscribe. But thank you guys.